And we've got more of that
let's
to do
get
today.
on with the Tarot
Let's get on
Talk
with it. Now
Tuesday.
people have joined us. Tarot Talk Tuesday. So yes,
Today's card is
today's card is
Wheel of Fortune.
Spin the wheel, round it goes. Where it lands, no one knows. Or is that really the case?
I don't know.
Well, what's your take on
Well, the first thing I'd like to say is I love the letters on here because depending on where you start, depends on what you see.
Your mileage may vary.
Right? Like you could see it to be Tarot.
Tarot.
Right? Because in the craft, we usually do seal things. You know, if we were drawing a pentacle, we would draw that last line again.
Yes.
So you could see Tarot, or you could see Rota, which means wheel.
Interesting.
So that's kind of cool. Then you can also see alchemy in that wheel. You can see the 4 seasons in that wheel. You can see some Hebrew letters there, mark of the seeker, fire in the head, all kinds of things. Yahweh, yeah. Then we have the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac that create the name of God, so that's kind of cool. And then you see from the chariot, there's a sphinx.
Yes.
But he's blue, kind of like Krishna up there.
Perhaps he's a little cold.
Well, he's like Krishna. And then you've got this...
not that the colour's relevant.
More like a devil kind of appearing, holding the wheel itself.
Sneaky little bugger.
So I think that this card announces a time for change, or a time of change, and that it may be wise to seek counsel how to adjust to this change. The wheel is very strong. It's in orange, right? And
Morning, Aaron.
the Sphinx is holding the sword of control. That reminds us that we alone
Good morning, Carol.
have the ability to change our lives through internal alchemy, through working with the elements, through understanding the cycles of the year and of life, and through working to find really good advice. So when I see the wheel card in a reading, I always look to the card before it and the card after it. So that's me. And I might chime in again in a bit, but I want to give you some time to talk about it. I so
know she's going to chime in. She just can't help herself, but she knows this stuff, so it's all good. So I really vibe to this card. There is an absolute multiplicity of layers of meanings within here, layers within layers, and it's kind of interesting because there's a big lesson here. We were just, interestingly enough, talking about our solar returns, our birthdays, and I see our dear friend whose birthday it is in a couple of days, who's an August Leo. We were talking about.
No, she's an August Virgo.
August Virgo. I'm an August Leo. She's an August Virgo. So, but we were saying we were both Hazel in that.
It's all about the nut.
It's all about a pair of nuts, if you ask us. So, moving on swiftly. It's interesting. I also take a little joke because Valentine's Day, February the 14th, is my solar opposition. It's my half birthday. And this is interesting because this card is halfway through the Fool's Journey. If you will note, it's number 10. It sits directly opposite where the Fool begins and ends, because 0 and 21 is the same place, or 1 and 21, you know, the cycle starts again kind of thing. So it's interesting, this is midway through the cycle. So at this point, it really would be that almost like the full moon kind of energy here. And this is kind of fascinating that you may find little opposing forces coming to you to challenge you. But as Lisa says, note, there's the colours on here. Again, we've got the colours of blue and red, or, you know, and these could be your alchemical colours, your fire and your ice, you know, your like the colours on a tap, hot and cold, if you will. Again, representative of opposition. And slightly, he's slightly out of opposing. He's not directly underneath him, but these again, this could be the forces of order and control, and this could be abject chaos here, or mischief, and all that kind of stuff. So you've got these working together across the wheel, or are working against each other, or working in harmony with each other. Because it's a really interesting thing. And
without one, the other cannot exist.
Without one, they are both mutually dependent upon each other for their very existence.
Right. If there was no good, there would be nothing to measure it by.
Well, exactly. You can't have dry if you don't have wet. You can't have hot if you don't have cold. There is no existence without opposition, because one by itself, if you think about it, singularity, in it exists the potential to be absolutely everything. However, it is yet nothing. It's nothing because there is nothing with which to compare it to. You cannot describe it. To describe it means you have to have a frame of reference, and it contains within it everything that could possibly be. So that singularity must burst asunder, so to speak, and must divide itself into two. So if we have hot, then we have to have cold. Now we have an opposition, and oppositions, as you know, are difficult. It's like immovable force, unstoppable force, immovable object kind of thing. And so that opposition is the problem, but it's the resolution of opposition. So is this where we've gone halfway around the wheel? We're in a place of opposition almost, but it's learning how to harmonize those forces. And I love the snake here and
well, you do see those four characters on the world.
Yes, you do. And you will notice that on the world, although we'll get to that being has now harmonized those forces and holds in each hand two amorphous colored pillars, if you will. So they've learned to harmonize those forces. So this is interesting. If you'll notice, every single one of these characters is an open book. And there is no writing in that book.
That's because they're Akashic records and you can't read them.
Oh, you could say that, but it may mean this is the time to start telling your story. To start really defining who you are. And I love that. That's one of those bardic challenges. Again, bardic challenges always start with opposition. They have to, because it's resolution of opposition, overcoming opposition is where the magic lies. Not necessarily overcoming, harmonizing opposition. Getting those forces to work together.
It's blandship. Blandship. That's the perfect friendship.
Blandship?
Blend.
A blend ship. Where do you pull these things from?
Well, that was from I Love Lucy.
Oh, no. I think I've seen one episode of I Love Lucy in my life.
That was the Stomping Grapes one.
Yeah, I think it was. And that might have just been a clip on something else. Good morning, Gilda. So, yeah, a fascinating card this.
Shayna says, bardic challenges?
Oh, yes, they always start out not hard to answer. I mean, like the punka that you have to go through, where there's this like little bardic thing where the Mari turns up at the door, and unless you can defeat it with your bardic knowledge and interplay and being able to put your challenge back, it's allowed entry and will nibble in places perhaps you shouldn't be nibbling, but it does that to show it's all about fertility and laying things to waste and the cycle of everything. But I love this card. There's so much to be learned from it. And you recognize, though, however, this sort of control is absolutely key. And that you're in the dominant position if you take this. And again, as Lisa says, it's very difficult when you've just got one card by itself. It's hard to tell the story.
But it's usually a sign of better things to come.
Oh, yeah.
If you're up for the challenge of making the change.
That is correct.
If you're going to sit there in denial and do nothing, then...
spin the wheel, round it goes, where it lands, no one knows.
Or only you know because you're not willing to move.
Well, there is that, and there's also, if you laissez-faire, leave everything to chance, let it be, whatever, laissez-faire, then where are you going with that? Where are you going? You've not got an active part in that. So this is all about lessons and telling us, what about you, child of promise? Where do you come from? What is your story? So this is about realization of self and actualization.
And not falling into temptations and pitfalls,
oh,
maintaining
God,
control over bad habits, all kinds of things could be here.
It really is very much about, that transition, if you will, from childhood into adulthood, that realization of self. And, you know, because when you're a kid, no, I wish I was, I think I still am sometimes, to be honest, just love to play, don't you? You're just going to go out and play in fanciful imagination and charge around like an aeroplane, or, you know, a bomber, or you build dams in the stream and all that kind of fun stuff. Well, nowadays, I suppose people are stuck on their iPhones or iPads or whatever.
Right.
But you have to interact with the world. You have to. We're part of it. We can't divorce ourselves from that world. And, you know, eventually, you know, the green god takes on his responsibility and moves from the wild woods and you know, owns up to what is necessary. And so this is very much that point. It's a rite of passage as well, I feel this is too. So it's a hugely powerful card, and I've whittled on forever about it.
Oh, that's cool.
But I love it.
Let's have card of the day then.
I love it. So there you go. That's the Wheel of Fortune. So that's us.